Hey, this is Matt Bronger, and I never would have gotten anywhere in life without advice from people who have made a lot of mistakes. My new podcast, This Might Help, pays that forward. Every week, my guest and I will listen to anonymous messages from people who need help and offer our best and most hilarious advice. This Might Help with Matt Bronger, the only advice podcast that has ever existed. On Laugh Button.
One Down, the comedy crossword podcast.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of One Down, the comedy crossword podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Just a quick word up front. Obviously, Greg and I exist outside of the world of crosswords, and we're aware of what's happening in the country right now and across the world. And I just wanted to take a quick moment. I know this is a crossword podcast, and that is what we are going to focus on. But I just wanted to take a quick moment to say that Black Lives Matter. And that's an important thing for me to say. And I think that's an important thing for us as a country to believe and act on. And with that, I'll turn it over to my co-host, Greg Warren.
Yeah, I want to repeat what Brendan said. Black Lives Matter. I grew up in a very sort of mixed community, and I was lucky to spend a good part of my life getting to know a lot of black people. My sister-in-law is black. My nephew is mixed, and one of the first gigs I ever got, Brendan, on TV was I was on a show called BET's Coming to the Stage. I was like the white guy on.
That's right. Yeah.
I was like the only white guy on this stand-up comedy show on BET, and the black comedians on that show treated me as well as I have ever been treated. So I guess really. What I want to say is we should all be kinder to each other.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Speaking of being treated kindly by black friends, I was the kicker on the football team. We've talked about that. And I was a bad kicker, Greg. And I was one of about three white guys. Like you, I had the privilege of growing up in a racially diverse area, and I that was really great. And I missed a game-winning extra point at an away game that was 2.5 hours away. So I had a 2.5-hour bus ride home, being the only white guy on the bus, and everyone just kept saying, you all right, Eyre, you all right, you all right. And everyone was nice to me, and it was good.
Everyone? Not one person was like...
No, well, it was funny because they kept saying I was all right, and then they kept saying... You should have made that.
Yeah,
but you all right.
An extra point, Brendan.
Yeah, I mean it's fairly
11-yard kick or something.
Yeah, it should be automatic. And in high school, you get a T on the extra point. I mean, it was pretty pathetic, really. I was fired halfway through the season, and then my dad wouldn't let me quit the team, so I was just a kicker who stood on the sideline while they let an offensive lineman kick with his toe.
So you were also playing soccer at the time?
Yeah, I was playing soccer, and they let me be the kicker because I was great in practice. I could hit 55-yard field goals, and then I'd get in my head. Yeah. I had the yips. And so they'd let me go to football practice for like half an hour because all you got to do is run through the kick plays, and then I'd go to soccer practice. But we should real quick. I just wanted to shout out a listener. We always appreciate listener interaction on this podcast. And at JT Corey 3 on Twitter, Greg, he asked us how much it costs to get comedian / musician / movie star / world-renowned chef Henry Phillips to do the opening intro for the podcast. Now, I'm not going to get into the
No,
finances.
man.
Right?
Our finances are our business.
Right. But let's just say mid to high six figures.
See, now you're telling our business out there, man. What are you doing? People are going to think we
they-
got all kinds of money. No, I mean, we don't anymore.
Well, we don't anymore. Yeah. No.
JT Corey, a good guy, man. Know him well. And Henry Phillips, a great guy. One of my very, very close friends. Yeah.
Greg's close friend and one of my comedic heroes. So it was a big deal when we got Henry Phillips Greg got Henry Phillips.
Yeah, Brendan had nothing to do
with
with it, man.
I have nothing to do with pretty much anything except being on the podcast. Anything behind the scenes is take it up with Greg. But let's move right into Monday, June 1st. This was an Eric A-guard. An A-guard on a Monday,
Guard,
Greg.
man. Do you think he is this a disciplinary action? They're pushing him down to Monday?
Well, if it is,
Keep it up, A-guard. You keep it up. Keep it up, and you'll be doing Mondays. You got a smart mouth, A-guard, and I don't like it.
Well, I'll tell you what, Greg. I don't know if there's a day before Monday. I mean, there is. It's Sunday, but I mean in the week, because they ought to throw him down there. Because this theme was ridiculous. It was just complimenting or bragging statements, kind of.
Yeah.
But there wasn't even a clue unifying all of them.
Right.
It was we're number one, she's all that, you're the top, and they're great.
Right.
If that's not phoning it in by A-guard, this is A-guard saying, "Oh, you want me to do a Monday? I'll give you a Monday. I'll give you a Monday short." This is
Speaking of phoning it in, Brendan, if you're going to say 57 across, say it.
They're great.
Okay.
I forget how Tony the Tiger talks. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Everyone does. Now, 13 across, Greg. Quote, ingredient, end quote, in molten chocolate cake.
Yeah.
That's lava. Now, I want to urge all of our listeners, you've got to pay attention to those quotes. Do not use real lava.
No, man.
I have made this mistake, and it will wreck your dinner party.
What, you put real lava into a cake, Brendan?
Yes, it was. People's throats were burned out. It was horrific.
That's awful, man.
Talk about embarrassing. I mean, people didn't want to come to my house for dinner for weeks after that, and not to mention getting the lava anywhere. Finding a container that holds lava.
Did you go to Mount St. Helens for that?
Yeah, I did. As a matter of fact, I went to Mount St.
trip.
Helens. I said, "What? Give me your best lava-proof bucket,
Yeah.
because I'm making a cake."
That is a definite faux pas. Let me tell you another faux pas, Brendan, involving the molten lava cake. You don't want to serve that in the Roman city of Pompeii. It's in poor taste, especially right around 79 AD. Look what I made, guys! A molten lava cake. What a jerk.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Every single person I know is petrified in their home. They've been frozen in place by lava.
And you're going to come in with this?
And you're going to serve me this cake, which is delicious, I should say. Don't get me wrong. Now,
14 down, signature accessory of Carmen Miranda. That's the fruit hat. Brendan, you know who Carmen Miranda is?
I do. Yeah, I remember Carmen Miranda.
You do?
I mean, not from my time, but like, having seen later stuff.
Yeah, she was a movie star, a singer and a movie
Right.
star, and she was from Brazil. She was known as the Brazilian bombshell, attractive woman. And she wore a signature fruit hat. And Brennan, I know you're going to get mad for me bringing this up, but there was that time in the middle of your career when you thought it would be beneficial to go around with the vegetable hat, and
Well, Greg, people were doing shticks at the time.
I know, man. I know,
thought
but
I had something.
You had one zucchini. That's it. You just had a zucchini sticking out of the top of your head, and it looks stupid, man.
Well, I know that now, But at the time, I don't remember you opposing it at the time. You thought this could be it for me. This could be the big break. It's old veggie hat, man.
Hey, I've never gotten in your way. I'm not somebody that's going to be too prescriptive about how you, you run your career. And you seem to be all in on this vegetable hat. And I do think, going back, I do think like, hey, man, maybe add a few more vegetables.
I tried to get my hands on some broccoli, some cauliflower. It was last minute. All I had was a cucumber and,
it was a zucchini. It was a zucchini. I'm pretty sure it was. You don't even know the difference between a cucumber and a zucchini. And you're going to be vegetable hat guy?
Yeah, that was another problem because I tagged a lot of jokes. I tagged a lot of my jokes with, and that's cucumber, baby. And guys would go, it's a zucchini, you idiot. It's a zucchini.
Which takes us to 6 down, woefully underperforms, bombs. That was what Zucchini Man did quite often.
I don't like this clue because you don't know what was going on with the crowd that night. It could have been late show Saturday. They may have been drunk. This is harsh. I performed all right. I just never learned the difference between a cucumber and a zucchini. That's not a bomb. That's just ignorance, vegetable ignorance on my part.
This is something I've mentioned on this podcast before, but you'll find journeyman comics like Brendan Eyre. They've always got an excuse. It was the crowd, man. It was the crowd. It was late show Saturday. It's just because of the hat,
Now I've been demoted to a journeyman, like a guy, like a 39-year-old playing AA ball, just moving his family around the country.
I'm sorry. I said the apprentice-like stand-up comedy of Brendan Eyre.
Now, 41 across, less than 90 degrees as an angle. That's acute.
Yeah.
Now, if you're listening to this and you've got kids, or if you're a kid who happens to be listening to this, what I always used in school to remember this when we were in geometry class, acute are less than 90 degrees, the small ones. So you go, oh, that's acute angle, a little guy, that's acute. And then obtuse, those are the big ones, bigger than 9 degrees. So for those, I'd say, oh, look at that fat idiot. Look at that fat, stupid idiot angle. That's obtuse, So that's a good trick, a mnemonic device you can use.
Dude, if this journeyman thing keeps going on, you're going to make a fine geometry teacher. You really have a way of talking to the kids.
Thank you.
64 down, blank solo of Star Wars. And the answer is Han, and that is our Monday clue of the week. I think that's a pretty easy one, Brendan. If it just said blank solo, you could be like, it could be Hope. But if it's blank solo of Star Wars, you should get it, right? Oh, yeah. It's Marty Solo, I think. Didn't he?
Yeah, Kevin. You remember Kevin Solo, Han Solo's cousin? Yeah,
he was.
He just worked as a mechanic.
He didn't drive the Millennium Falcon. He just drove an old Falcon, an old old sedan.
Yeah, I second that as the Monday clue of the week without question.
Should have gone with Millennium T-Bird for that joke is what I should have gone with.
Yeah, that's all right. Lake with a namesake canal, 44 down. Erie. Of course, I grew up on the shores of Lake Erie in Cleveland. This is a bit of a sore subject for me. There's a beautiful towpath in Cleveland operated by the Metro Parks on the Ohio and Erie Canal. So the Ohio and Erie Canal connect, and they used to tow barges with horses or donkeys and stuff. And those towpaths oftentimes, because canals aren't used anymore, cities make them into paths for running, recreation, that sort of stuff. For a while, Greg, my uncle gave me a road bike, so I was into kind of distance cycling. I rode down the Erie Canal towpath, 79 miles south of Cleveland.
Wow.
And then got a flat tire.
Oh, boy.
My phone was dead, and I didn't know where I was. So I just had to find someone with a phone, call my parents, neither of whom were home, and just wait around so I could get a hold of them and then say, is there any way, and this was prior to Google, I think, I had to say, is there any way you could find where the 79-mile mark on the towpath is? Because I don't know where I am, but that's where I need to be picked up.
Did they come get you?
Yeah, eventually it was like a 7-hour ordeal.
Jeez.
Yeah, it wasn't great. So, I hold that against the Erie Canal.
Well, here's what I would like to say. This has always been a learning podcast, right? Mm-hmm. And on that little story taught me one thing: what a towpath is. Because I thought at first when you said that it was a very narrow path in which one had to tippy-toe across. Now I know.
Hey, buddy, this is the towpath. You're stomping around here like some kind of jerk.
The neighbors can hear you.
Yeah. Maybe you didn't read the sign, you jerk. Tuesday, June 2nd, this was the John Guzetta. The theme was just answers that within them contained company names. For instance, Vocal Coach contains Alcoa.
Yep.
And there are a few others like that. Pretty standard.
I liked Buck Rogers. It contains a Kroger.
Yeah, that was
a large
a good one,
chain
actually.
of grocery stores that I was my customer for quite a while. Did a lot of work with the Kroger company.
Kroger, I find Kroger to be, now you would know this more than me, but we didn't have Kroger's in Northern Ohio, but I have found Kroger's to be a fantastic grocery store. On the road, when I get a chance to shop at a Kroger, I rank Kroger's pretty highly up the chain of non-gourmet grocery stores. So not talking about your Whole Foods, your Trader Joe's, but I rank Kroger's pretty highly. Is that true or false?
Yeah, they're good. It's a great chain. Now there's a big disparity, but I would say for the most part, you go into a Kroger, it's a really really nice store. They have some smaller, older stores with less variety and not quite as clean. But I would say for the most part. Really, really nice stores,
Yeah.
Now, what's the grocery chain in Cleveland?
Heinen's. They've got Heinen's, which is, Cleveland is interesting because it's mostly, I think, pretty local chains. Heinen's is not even big outside. I don't even think they have stores outside of Cleveland.
Right.
I think they have 4 or 5 in Cleveland, and then they have Zagara's, which also is not a national
That's one
chain.
of probably the few indie grocery markets in the country.
Well, there must be some big ones, probably on the west side where I didn't grow up. I know there's Stop and Shop.
That's
and they have
that's a chain out of Boston, I believe.
Okay, so they have some going, but yeah, it seems to have remained somewhat
it's a very
indie,
very rare market. Yeah.
Now, 13 across, Greg, prefix with cycle or cellular, and that's uni.
Yeah.
Uni, UNI. Now, I doubt you see this in St. Louis much, but I've seen it in Brooklyn multiple times. If you're riding a unicycle as part of a show or a demonstration, like you're a clown or something, fine. I have no problem with that. If you're riding a unicycle as transportation, you're showing off.
You know what?
Get a bike. Get a bike, because that is not a good way to get somewhere.
what if the guy's really good at unicycling? And I mean, you live in a New York apartment. It's there's not a lot of space. Probably takes up less space.
You get a folding bicycle, Greg. There's no way anyone in the world on a unicycle could beat someone of the same caliber.
They're not racing, man.
It's
it's just transportation. They're not racing.
Well, they're trying to get somewhere. They're showing off, Greg. It's like people I see walking around with a snake. You know, you don't need to. Your snake doesn't need to walk.
I guess so, man. I mean, I think I would normally come down with you on this, but I'm going to say I'm coming down with the unicyclists on this one. I think it's a growing business. I think it's a growing a form of transportation. And in 20 years, there's going to be probably more unicyclists than there are bicyclists.
Okay, let the record show that Greg Warren has sided with people.
The record has shown it. This is a podcast of record.
I'm reiterating for the record that Greg stands with people that ride unicycles as a form of transportation and does not think they're hot dogging. He doesn't think they're out there showing off.
I don't stand with these people. I ride with these people, Brendan.
You sure don't. I'd love to see you attempt to ride a unicycle. I would love it.
I got good balance. I used to have good balance. I imagine I could pick it up. Probably,
you know what?
I bet you I could do
now
it. Now I stand with the
unicyclists because I want to join with them.
We don't
and
want
laughing
you.
at you.
We don't want you.
Telling them
we don't
how
want you as part of
you're
our
not
group.
part of them. You're not.
I'm not part of them, but I'm the one on this podcast sticking up for them. They would welcome me with open arms.
Yeah, I doubt that.
50 down
that.
on blank, EN blank, and of course that is on guard. Brendan, This is a phrase I haven't heard in a long time, and I'd like to make a proposal. Are you ready?
Yes.
You know, the podcast, we kind of chat a little bit sometimes up front, and then we get right down to the action, and we start off with Monday.
Yeah.
I'd like to start off the Monday puzzle by saying, on guard.
I love that.
That means we're getting into the business, right?
We're getting into the business. Right. Not necessarily that the fight has started, because we don't always fight, but the battle has started. The real action.
We're fighting the puzzle. We're fighting the New York Times. We're fighting City Hall.
Yes. Yes. Somehow you think City Hall's involved with the New York Times.
It's all mixed up, man. It's all mixed up, Brendan.
That I couldn't agree more, and I hope that neither of us forget this. I believe we will.
Oh, sure.
But I hope next Monday we mention it's a fantastic idea. And I hope we start with saying, on guard. Now, 12 down, first stroke. And that is tee shot.
Yep.
Greg, not when you play golf with my dad.
What do you mean?
That guy will take about 14 tee shots with any number of excuse. Well, it's the first hole. You got to get warmed up. Everyone knows first hole. You don't start till you get in the fairway. That none of those count. Well, it's we just had a hot dog at the turn there, so that you get about 6 tee shots here. That guy will take a tee shot until he gets it in the fairway every time. He's like me trying to excuse a bomb. It's unbelievable. And then he'll just with a straight face tell you that he shot a 92, and that's pretty darn good for a guy his age. He'll go, I shot a 92. You shot 179 is what you shot.
Oh boy. 32 across, blank clause. That is Mrs. Claus. I guess they are saying that the most famous married woman in the world is Mrs. Claus. And I did a lot of thinking because,
go ahead,
she's the only one where she's the only married woman where, it's a lot of people don't know her first name.
No one knows her first name.
I did a little research. Supposedly it's Mary.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Mary Claus.
Mary Claus. But yeah, I mean, I got it. So I guess Mrs. Robinson. That's a pretty famous Mrs.
Yeah, who else? Mrs. Fields.
Oh, great one, man. Great one. The cookie lady. Outstanding.
Let me ask you something, and this is probably very stupid, Greg, but it hasn't occurred to me just now. Is Santa his first name, or is that a title of some sort? Like, is it Richard?
No, I think it's no. I think it's Saint. I think it's Saint.
Oh, Saint Nicholas.
Yeah.
Old Saint Nicholas, and they shortened it to Santa Claus.
Yeah.
They don't do that with many other saints, like Saint Valentine. They don't say.
Oh, you talking about
Santos Val? Yeah. This is just kind of interesting trivia that I actually think is probably untrue.
Okay.
But 29 across, kind of being mentioned memorably in The Silence of the Lambs. That's fava.
Yeah.
Now, Dr. Hannibal Lecter tells Clarice about referring to one of his victims. I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti. Now, there is a widespread claim that this is sort of an Easter egg, if you will, a hidden joke in the movie. I don't think it is, but all over the internet, if you look up this quote, people seem to think it was deliberately done because Hannibal Lecter could have been treated with MAOIs, which are a very early form of antidepressant, particularly powerful antidepressant. And the top 3 things you can't eat when you're on, there's a lot of dietary restrictions on MAOIs, and the top 3 things on those restrictions are liver, beans, and wine. So a lot of people think he's A, making a joke for his own amusement, and B, basically saying he's not taking his meds. I don't agree with this because as a person who deals with depression, Hannibal Lecter's got a lot more problems than depression.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
This is insulting. Like, I know MAOIs are particularly strong, but he's a psychopath.
Right.
So, but that is some interesting. I had never heard that before, and I looked up the quote to get the quote right and found that there is just a widespread belief that is this little inside joke in the movie. And I don't know if that's true or not, but I thought it worth mentioning.
I like it, man. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I like when you do this stuff, man. I learn a little bit.
Yeah, and it's hard to say. I don't know. The filmmakers have not said if that was intentional or not, but it's something. Now, before we get to Wednesday, one down, order at an auto shop. That's a lube job. Don't order that. Because they're going to say, hey, man, just ask for an oil change because you're making everyone feel weird. Just say oil change and we know what you mean.
All right, let's go to Wednesday.
Okay, failed on that joke.
I'd like to say, in response to that joke, on guard. What's
on guard? Well, you don't think that's a strange way to ask for an oil change? I mean, that's what it is. That just seems stupid.
Well, I mean, I'm not a middle school boy, so, All
right, fine, Greg. Order it how you want. Wednesday, June 3rd, this was a Joanna Fenimore. The Big Bad Wolf was the theme. There were 3 answers that ended in his actions. Leaves in a huff, cheese, puff, and Curtis blow. The Big Bad Wolf, he liked to huff and puff and blow your house down. That was his thing. So, I generally expect a little bit more from a Wednesday theme, I think. I think that was a little juvenile for a Wednesday theme, but
really, after you just made the lube job joke, you're going to accuse this guy of being juvenile? Or I'm sorry, this girl, Joanna Fenimore.
Well, a guy can be a woman or a man, but yeah, in hindsight, I guess there's some contradiction there.
I thought Joanna did a nice job.
I will grant you that that particular joke does not coincide with my view on the Wednesday puzzles.
I think Joanna did a great job. I like
down.
I like Curtis Blow, man. I like the Big Bad Wolf.
You like the Big Bad Wolf?
As a villain, he's pretty good.
Oh, okay.
You know?
I thought you meant you were on his side.
I wasn't on his side, man. What do you think? I'm a monster? But I think as an anti-hero, he was pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that he's an anti-hero as much as he's just the villain. An anti-hero is like a bad guy that does good stuff. The Big Bad Wolf, it's in his name. He's big and bad. And
you're saying nothing that he does is good?
I don't remember the full thing. I mean, I guess he eventually led to these three brothers living in the same secure house, so maybe.
Yeah, and he was instrumental in clearing some land at one point.
Yeah, that's true. No, you're right. I mean, he taught a lot of architectural lessons to the pig community.
He did, man. 46 down. Are we on Wednesday? Yeah, we're on Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
46 down,
Yep.
somersault, say. And the answer is do a flip. No say. I don't say that. No say.
No say.
A somersault is not doing a flip. Everybody knows in a flip, you don't have contact with the ground at any point except with your feet. A somersault is not a flip.
I would go as far as to say I couldn't agree more. I would say if you told me you could do a flip and you did a front or back handspring, I'd even cut you a little slack. Which is not a pure flip. That's not a pure flip. I'm with you. Don't get me wrong.
Flip's a flip. And I'm not saying, I think a handspring's probably harder than a flip, but it's a handspring. It's not a flip.
No, I'm with you. I agree. But if you said you could do a flip and you did that, I would at least be like, okay, this guy can do something.
Yeah, he's an athlete. He's an athlete.
But if you tell me you can do a flip and then you do a somersault, I say, you are a filthy liar.
Yeah.
Get out of my sight.
And I never want to see you again. I never want to see you again.
So, and you know what? Don't just walk away from me. Somersault away from me. All the way down the road. Now here, I've got a little quiz for you, Greg.
Sure.
A little trivia question. 19 across, director Coppola. That's Sophia, or Coppola, excuse me.
Yeah.
That's Sophia. Do you know who Sophia's famous cousin is that changed his name?
Is that Nick Cage?
Yep, absolutely. A lot of people don't know Nick Cage is a Coppola, and he did a little bit of a dirty trick, I think. And I love Nick Cage. But what he did was he changed his name to give the appearance of not benefiting from the Coppola last name.
Right.
But the truth is, anyone in Hollywood would know who he was. So it was a bit of a stunt, if you ask me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like they didn't know he was a Coppola. So kind of a little bit of a PR thing, I think.
So one time I was in this acting class in Los Angeles, and I was doing a scene with this girl. Her name was Kristen, I believe, and she's one of the most attractive women I've ever met in my life. Okay, and we were scene partners a lot, and I told my friend Bob, like she was really, really attractive and really cool, like one of the coolest chicks you could ever meet. And I told my buddy Bob, I think I'm going to ask out Kristen, the class. I think I'm going to ask her out this next class. He's like, man, all right. So we go to class, and she's not there. And so Bill Paxton shows up to the class. You know the actor?
Yeah, of course.
And
Independence Day, right?
yeah, maybe. No, that's Bill Pullman. Bill Paxton is...
I get those two mixed up.
Twister.
Man. They look similar, too. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
Great in Twister.
So Bill Paxton shows up to the class. He used to take acting class from our teacher, Vincent Chase, who the character was named after. in Entourage. The guy who wrote Entourage took classes from Vince back in the day, and Vince is a great guy. So we're in class, and and Bill Paxton comes in. So then Kristen shows up, and like an hour later, and she goes, hey, I go, hey man, you missed it. Bill Paxton showed up, and I go, and she goes, oh wow, I know him, and I'm like, remember, I was going to ask her out.
Right.
I go, how do you know Bill Paxton? She's like, it's nothing. I go, come on, how do you know him? And I wore her down. She goes, well, I was engaged to Leonardo DiCaprio for a while, and we were all on the set of Titanic together, and I was also married to Nick Cage, so it's just we all sort of traveled in the same circles, and I said, yeah, man, I used to date Shannon Klosterman. She goes, who's she? I go, she's a physical therapist in Cincinnati.
Did you ask her out? Or
no, I didn't, man.
See, that's the thing. Here's the thing, Greg. Let me tell you, these women that have been with these huge name celebrities,
yeah,
it's almost once they've been with enough to be with someone as kind of low level and unknown and sort of just base as you is almost like being with a celebrity.
Really?
It's like, yes, it's like if you dine at a 5-star restaurant a 3-star Michelin restaurant every single night, it's a kind of a treat to go to McDonald's. You could have been her McDonald's.
Are you calling me
Greg.
McDonald's?
Yeah, in this metaphor.
No, I think in this metaphor, I'm like Steak and Shake at least.
No, yeah, I'll upgrade you. Ruby Tuesday. You're Ruby Tuesday.
Ruby Tuesday's not bad. Yeah, come on.
Yeah, no, Ruby Tuesday's great. You could have been her. I'm telling you, you had a shot here, man. I know how these ladies work.
I don't think I had a shot. 3 down, Minnie a middle schooler. The answer is tweener. I like that they had the qualifier Minnie because of the kid that flunked 6th grade 7 times. He's not a tweener. He's 19. But most of the middle schoolers are tweeners.
There was a kid we played. Our middle school football team played this middle school from East Cleveland called Kirk, and there was this legendary kid on Kirk, because we'd play each team twice a season. There was this legendary kid on Kirk that just had a full beard, like not like wispy growth, just a full man's beard on the middle school football team. And the legend just grew. Like people would say, I saw him drive to the game. He showed up in a car. I saw him in a bar one time. Just like it was like an urban legend about this kid. Just like he's 37 years old.
I know his kids. They're in the 2nd grade at this school.
Yeah. 22 down. Title role for Michael Caine and Jude Law. Alfie, of course. I prefer the earlier version. Both actually pretty good. Do you want to hear my Michael Caine impersonation?
Sure.
It takes me a while to get it sometimes, so you're going to have to coach me through it.
Okay.
Hold on. Why do we fall down, Master Wayne, if only to get back up again? Wait, what? Hold on, it's a little lower. Why do we fall, Master Wayne? Why do we fall, Master Wayne? Title role for Michael Caine and Jude Law. Alfie. I enjoyed playing Alfie.
How was
it?
There was this news guy back in the 70s named Irving R. Levine, and that's who you sound like, I think.
Hold on. I think I can get it. Title role for Michael Caine. Title, it's more in the nose here. Title role for Michael.
If I say it's good,
Caine.
can we stop?
title role for Michael Caine and Jude Law. It was Alfie, and I enjoyed the production very much, Master Wayne.
That was good, man.
That wasn't bad. That wasn't horrible.
It wasn't bad. Yeah.
It's not good.
I mean,
it's not good.
It's hey, man, I thought it's better than I could do.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't
Absolutely.
take. I always
say that. You know, unless you're Kirk, he makes 100% of the shots he takes. Let's go to Thursday, man. We are actually running woefully behind.
We're running behind, man. Thursday, June 4th. This was a Barbara Lynn. It was a occupation pun-based theme. Kind of an unusual theme for a Thursday. I don't know if you noticed that. Usually Thursday is a bit more complex of a theme. But, for example, a question would be, or a clue would be, the unhappy drill press operator, blank, blank, or ... And the pun answer was finds work boring. Boring as in
finds work boring, needs a week off, asks for a raise, wants more breaks. All during a pandemic where there's about a 30% unemployment rate. I think these are ingrates, and this whole puzzle is in poor taste.
Well, seconded, and there's one of them that's more than integrate. 52 across. The unhappy orthopedic surgeon ... wants more breaks.
This guy is a monster.
You sick, greedy son of a... If we start seeing, Greg, a masked leg breaker, it's this miserable chump.
Yeah. You know, he's probably Tanya Harding probably works cheap these days, or Jeff Galooly and those guys.
Jeff Galooly, yeah.
21 across. I Am the Walrus and Revolution. Those are B-sides. You want to know how great the Beatles were? Those are huge songs, and they're B-sides. Amazing.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. And you don't even want to hear. You don't even want to hear their D sides, Greg. They're unbelievable.
Really,
chart toppers on the D side.
That's I'm trying to understand the physics of that, and I'm not sure.
You have to put the record on the player vertically.
Oh,
they're kind of hidden.
I see.
Yeah, not mmany people hear them, actually.
I think that would be very tricky.
Yeah. 38 across. Low effort internet joke. This was a meme.
Yeah, that is, of course, a Brendan Eyre tweet.
No. See this. Wow. Low effort. How many memes have you made, Barbara Lynn? That's what I ask.
Yeah, they're not easy. Yeah.
No, I've tried to make memes. Making a meme that goes viral is not. You think a picture of Daenerys from Game of Thrones looking at a dragon egg with the caption, "That moment when you find the perfect avocado at the supermarket." You think that just appears magically? That takes hours of thought to goes into that. Low effort. That's ridiculous.
You make an excellent point there, Brendan. And
I'm not a meme guy.
And by the way,
I don't make memes.
Brendan
I wish I
Twitter.
knew.
He actually does put a lot of effort to it, and it's funny. I'm just
and
giving him
it
the
really
business.
really usually never goes anywhere. But
it's all right.
I try.
Yeah. 7 down. Part of a Mickey Mouse costume. Ears. I would venture to say 99% of Mickey Mouse costumes are just the ears.
If you have more than the ears, you are working at Disney World.
Or you better be a kid. You better be a kid. You get more than the ears.
Yeah. You better be a kid. But even as a kid, it's hard to get more than that. Like you need like a full mascot's costume to do anything other than the ears.
Right.
Really. I mean, he's all ears. That's where that saying came from. When a guy wants to, because Mickey Mouse was traditionally a wonderful listener.
He was. Yeah, you could tell him all about your day, and he would be just
anything,
sort of just not say much, but listen.
Someday he'd say, interesting.
That Mickey Mouse impression was 30 times better than the Michael Caine impression.
So much better.
Way
and
better.
It was spur of the moment.
Really good. Really good.
Two down. Poet exiled by Augustus. Here is a crossword tip. Sometimes Greg and I like to give you tips. Any clue that mentions poetry and anything remotely Roman, just write in Ovid.
Yep.
Because I think they only had one guy. As far as I can tell, it was a one poet system that they worked under. There weren't any others. Just write Ovid in there, and you'll almost 100% of the time be fine.
Yeah. Hey, do you know much about Ovid, Brendan?
No.
Well, Augustus exiled him, that had to be, around 100 or 200? It is a long time ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Rome said he could come back in 2017. So let me tell you something. If you get kicked out of Rome, it's a long sentence, man. Just know it's going to be a while before you get back in.
It's so funny when governments do like symbolic stuff like that. Like they literally took up taxpayers' time and money to be like, hey, should we make a decree that Ovid, who's been dead for 2,000 years, should be allowed back in the city? Yeah, that's a good law. That's a good law because this is a smear on our entire city that we banned him. So we really got to put some work into this.
Yep. Let's move to Friday, Brendan.
But be real quick before we move. Do you think there was like one guy that voted against it?
Nope.
No way. He did what he did, and I'm standing firm.
Give him another 1,000, then come ask me.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at it then.
Friday, June 5th was a John Renholt. I don't recall working with him
We have never
before.
worked with John before, and we might as well talk about results right here. I got beat. I didn't have a good week, man. I went Monday through Thursday clean, then made an effort on Friday, but I got beat, and I got beat fairly. I did not know the answers to a lot of the stuff in the south west corner. And then Saturday, probably it's the hardest puzzle I've seen in a long time. I tried, and I just couldn't get anything there. And then Sunday I got close but didn't get there. So I was 4 for 7. Not a good week for me.
But you made it through the Thursday, which is a better 4 for 7 than say missing a Wednesday or missing a Tuesday.
Why do you always got to bring up me missing Wednesdays, man?
I didn't bring. Wow, that shows some inner analysis that you need to work on because I didn't bring up you in any way. I brought
You've
up
brought it up
generally-
30 times.
I brought up generally missing.
You called me Wednesday Warren for.
Yeah, no, I said that's what I'm hearing out there on the streets.
They're
and the
not
message
saying that
boards.
on the streets, man.
Yes, there's a guy on my street always asks me about you. I go, don't call. I say, don't call him that. I say that's not fair, man. He went clean. Don't call him that.
Liar.
My streak got busted. I was on a 2 week and 5-day streak, so a 19-day streak, and I lost on Saturday. We'll talk about it when we get to Saturday. It was a fair loss. I have no complaints. I just got beat by the puzzle, and I did get Sunday. But let's talk about Friday real quick. 33 across, Greg. Outlet for international travelers. That's the duty-free store.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
Don't understand it. I don't really know what it means.
They exclusively sell
Liquor,
cigarettes, right? Liquor,
candy,
perfume, cologne, and chocolate.
I think they got some Pringles in there, maybe.
Sometimes, yes. So it's just like I don't understand. It's like, hey, you trying to party tax free, baby?
Yeah.
You know, like what is? Why aren't there toys or like a bicycle? Something I want to buy without tax.
I think I saw a unicycle in there one time, but you don't ride those.
No, you know I don't. You know I don't.
I don't understand the whole concept. I mean, I get, they don't pay tariffs or duty on it,
Right, but I don't know why what's in there is in there, because it is pretty much exclusively those things.
Maybe it's more transportable. I don't know. Let's get into it. Let's get one of our researchers on it.
Yeah, let's. Well, if we hadn't, God, this comes back to how much we paid Henry for the song.
I know, man. I know. We had to fire 9 of our researchers because Henry overcharged us on that song, and but it's worth it. People like the song.
Yeah.
It's
love the
most popular feature of our podcast, the intro.
Oftentimes, it's the only part people listen to.
A lot of times. It's great. 39 across. Escort down the aisle informally, and the answer is ush, and that is not informally. That is imaginatively. Nobody says ush. It's just they made that up. They made it up.
You know how many weddings you gotta have been to? You gotta literally have been in to start abbreviating usher.
Yeah, that's
you've got to be. It's only said by guys that have done 1,000 weddings.
Yeah, lazy guys. You really can't say
Yeah.
and nobody's ever said. Have you ever heard ush?
No, never.
Yeah.
There's no such thing. Ush. Hey, bro! I gotta ush these 2 down the aisle. Get them.
Well,
to the
you're fired.
pew.
You're fired. You're not going to be part of
back.
anybody's wedding ever again.
Yeah,
jerk.
No, absolutely. I had that mark too. Nobody says ush informally. Yeah, it's informal because it's non-existent. Direction 30 down. Direction word bear, and that can work 2 ways, Greg. For instance, bear left at the fork, or bear.
Excellent point, man. Excellent point. All right, yeah, that is a direction word.
So that's a twofer.
I would say if you hear it loudly without left or right, you want to go in the opposite direction of said bear. Yeah.
Exactly. It's a very self-explanatory sentence based on intonation. I want to point out a quick problem I had this week. I take umbrage sometimes, Greg.
Yeah, you do. It's Brenda's
I do take
umbrage moment of the week or something like that.
Yeah. One across.
Yeah.
They go low when others go high, and this was Bassi, Bassi.
I had a problem with that one. Didn't get it.
And that would be a plural of a bass voice, a bass singer. Now, my umbrage is of this, because that is a correct term, is that on Sunday they use an alternate.
They're called basses on Sunday, right?
Bassos, Bassos on Sunday, and I think, and both are legitimate words, right?
Yep.
But I think I take it in the same week. No, you cannot use the exact definition to be 2 variations of the same word.
Well, then you're going to run into a lot of problems because they pull that a lot.
Not to this extent. The exact definition and two variations. I don't know that I've seen it to this extent, Greg.
Yep, you may be right. 45 across, like a very cold night. Idiomatically, that's 3 dog. And I guess I knew that, but I got it wrong. I had 3 log, as in putting 3 logs on the fire or something. So for everybody out there that are fans of the song Jeremiah Was a Bullfrog, that was sung by 3 Dog Night, not 3 Log Night.
Well, the funny thing about that, I've only heard 3 Dog Night in reference to the band, and you saying 3 Log Night makes way more sense.
Right.
I've never heard 3 Dog Night being used in terms of a cold night. Now I got it because I did know I've heard of the city Dhaka before, but I didn't understand 3 Dog Night. And the thing about Jeremiah, he was a bullfrog, but he actually wasn't a very good friend of mine.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, no. So I it's not a song for me. Yeah, we never got along.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We had a few. I don't know where I'm going with this. I think we should move on.
Man, I gave you a little bit of leeway.
Yeah,
Jeremiah
you sure
was a
did.
bullfrog, Three Dog Night. That was, of course, Chuck Negron was a member of that band. You know who his brother was?
Who?
Comedian Taylor Negron, an 80s.
Oh, really?
actor. Yeah, that's his brother.
Oh, wow. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, I know who that is. Wow.
Yeah, one time my buddy Gannant and I saw Chuck Negron in a Baja Fresh out in L.A. We were eating some burritos out there, and Chuck was sitting by himself, and Gannant started singing "One Is the Loneliest Number."
That's
not bad.
But that's not even a Three Dog Night song.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I think it is.
Oh, is it? Well, I didn't know that was them. Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm surprised Chuck Negron didn't beat him up.
I don't think he sang it loud enough for Chuck to hear.
Yeah. That's funny. That's really funny. He has one of the Three Dog Night. He tells a story, and I will not repeat it on this podcast. But I always loved VH1's Behind the Music. And if you ever get a chance to watch the Three Dog Night Behind the Music, he tells one of the craziest stories of all time. And I highly recommend it. Now, Saturday, June 6th, Doug Peterson. Don't recall working with Doug.
No, we got a lot of newbies here. Haven't worked with Doug. And Doug, don't care for him. Don't care for him at all. This was a brutal puzzle. I sometimes, I'm like, maybe I'm just not, maybe I'm tired or I'm not concentrating. I took a few shots at it and I got nowhere. Tough puzzle, I think. Well, it knocked you off of a 2-week streak.
It knocked me off of a streak with no excuse. Greg, I was close. I got busted by the combination of an iron cross and a shortsy fake.
Oh, you got iron cross of death?
Yeah, I had an iron cross of death down in the southeast corner, kind of a double iron cross. I didn't know ancient Dead Sea Kingdom. I didn't know the hedging word across that. And then at the end of that, I didn't know scene of World War I fighting. But none of that mattered because I actually at one point did have the right combination of letters in because that's where I thought I was wrong. None of it mattered because I had Forest Swingers 38 across as apes.
Yeah, me too.
Instead of axes.
You know what? They were trying to do that. You know they were messing.
Of course they were trying to do that, and it's stupid because I know apes don't swing. It's not the apes that swing; it's chimpanzees that swing.
I was almost thinking about that, but I was like, "What else goes in?" Yeah, axes is a clever one. It's a clever
one. Yeah. But that was all that busted me out. I was really proud. I had everything else, and this was hard. I mean, you're talking about they had one across. The capital of Chad is N'Djamena.
Yeah,
N'Djamena.
Yeah.
Which here's the thing, Greg. If your country is Chad, stick with the theme. You know what I mean? The capital should be
like Carl.
It should be like Dave or Zach. Yeah, Carl.
Yeah.
Not N'Djamena.
Yeah,
you know, that's crazy. You're Chad already.
Good point, man. Good point. 57 across, airy treat. The answer is rice cake. That's not a treat, man. It's just not. You know, to finish your dinner, you can have a rice cake.
Yeah, I know. How about can I have dessert?
No, yeah, that's dessert. You get a treat. You get a rice cake. It's a brown rice cake.
I know
it
says
low sodium
in it, but
it's a low sodium brown rice cake. You're gonna love it. It's just like ice cream.
It's brown. It's not even a regular rice.
Yeah, it's brown.
I know.
It's low
I want
sodium.
dessert. You said if I ate everything, I could have dessert.
And I'm giving you dessert. It's a rice cake.
Just because it has cake in it, Greg. It's not a dessert. It's not a treat.
23 across, title role for 70s sitcom. That's Fred Sanford. Brennan, you want to hear my Fred Sanford impression?
Yeah, I do. I'd love to.
Shut up, dummy.
Oh man, I love Fred
Elizabeth,
Sanford.
I'm coming to join you.
I 33 down, banned outdoor game. And that's jarts.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're familiar with jarts.
Sure.
Greg, but man, if you bring up jarts around my dad, he will tell you it's the deadliest scourge this country has ever seen. And this is from a man who was in Vietnam. He will tell you about jarts like they are, like everyone he knows died from jarts. If you don't know what jarts are, it was like this crazy game where you had a target you'd put in your yard and then these giant darts that were just huge kind of metal spears that you could essentially kill someone with, right? Is that a correct?
It would stick in the ground. You'd throw basically like a giant version of a dart you were throwing at a dartboard, and it would stick in the ground. And it's banned. It is a banned game. Now, Brendan, it is banned, but if you want to play.
Oh, don't tell me.
Yeah, I know a couple underground.
Why are you doing? Are you on the underground charts?
I can't talk about it. I mean, I'm just saying, but I was just saying, it's serious business, man. A lot of gambling, and and you got to know a lot of people. It's like, let's say, like take cockfighting, okay?
Yeah.
Sort of underground, okay?
Right.
Jarts, deep underground, man. Deep.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you gotta access the dark web to even find these meetups.
I know about a couple of games that I can get you in a couple of games as a spectator. As a competitor, that's going to take something.
I don't know if I have the dough to even get in the door. I got to be honest, Greg. These guys don't sound like low stakes kind of fellas.
No, man. Are you kidding me? The initial wagering starts at $20,000 a game.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me. What's the fatality rate on those games?
Half.
Yeah, seems right. 22 across. Devotee, and the answer was fiend. Now, if you were going to take any like asterisks on this puzzle, this would be the clue to do it, because that is just wrong. Like that's crazy. Like, I guess it's accurate if you're talking about like a devotee of crystal methamphetamine, but devotee is usually a religious term.
Yeah, Mike, man, he is devoted to crystal meth. I mean, that's He's devoted his whole life to it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
He don't want to do nothing else.
Yeah, it's not like, Susan, she is a fiend for Jesus. She's just Bible study group. She's doing donations, volunteering. Talk about a fiend. Yeah. Should we hit Sunday, man?
Go to Sunday, man. Sunday.
Oh, that's good. Sunday, June 7th, Andy Kravis. The title of the puzzle was Surplus Store. You basically added SUR, sir, to the front of common terms. For instance, the clue, the operation was a success, for example. The answer was surgery verdict. And so if you take away the SUR, phonetically you get jury verdict. So that was the theme where if you take away the SUR, you had a common
man,
term.
I didn't get it.
Yeah, see, well, what was nice, it was really helpful. Once I got it was helpful because
man.
I knew to just add SUR at the front of all of them.
I knew to add
for
SUR,
instance,
but I didn't get the where you get rid of it and then say, man.
Yeah, so surprise fighters.
I don't know if I would have gotten the puzzle. I
fighters.
missed 3 squares, and it was, I almost got this puzzle. And it would have been a nice comeback, because a 5 for 7 is respectable, a 4 for 7 is not. And I wish I'd have known that.
Yeah, Surly Majors, Lee Majors, Surfer Balls,
man.
Fur Balls. Yeah.
Man.
Surf Fit of Anger, so. But it took me a second to figure that out. Now, 53 down, Greg, revenue source for podcasts. This is ads. Mm-hmm. I'd like to slightly edit that clue to revenue source for podcasts, hopefully soon.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
We're not there yet, man. We're just starting out, though, man. I think, what is this, episode 12 or something?
We're doing great. And Bonefish Grill has yet to contact us.
That's disappointing. That's disappointing.
No, there's a quarantine. These guys are at home thinking about it, but they got to wait till they all come back.
They're getting their ducks in a row. They don't want to. They need to know how to approach us. They need to get a strategy because we're just not going to go with them right away. I mean, we will, but
Right. No, it's like they're thinking like you were thinking when you failed to ask out a woman who was engaged to Leonardo DiCaprio. They're thinking these two giants of the industry. Would it be insulting to even ask?
She was beautiful and one of the nicest people you'll ever meet and talented. Really, really funny.
I'd say it's not too late, man.
I'm pretty sure it is. We're going back about 20 years.
I'll look her up.
Yeah. Nah, I'd rather you didn't. Sicko. Frequent 82 down. Frequent result of wearing a bike helmet. That is, of course, celibacy. And
that's a horrible mess.
You look like a dork. Come on, man.
Greg, come on. This is a family podcast. Everyone should wear a bicycle helmet.
A 9-year-old should wear a bicycle, but he shouldn't. He should also be celibate. So what do you do? Yeah.
A grown-up should also wear a bicycle helmet.
You look
Greg,
like a
everyone
dork.
should.
The answer is hat hair, which I have a problem with, because nobody says hat hair. They say hat head. Nobody says hat hair.
This might be a regional thing. We always said hat hair.
Really?
Yeah, this might be a regional, a pop soda type of thing.
Yeah, or it could be one of those regional things where, like, the only place that they say it the way I think they say it is the 2-block radius around my house.
and my house, and everyone else says it differently than both of us, which is pretty frequent. But 101 across, how a tandem bicycle is built. And the answer was for two. Greg, I was jogging in Prospect Park, and I saw a guy riding a tandem bicycle up a steep hill by himself. And I think that might top the baby shoes thing for the shortest sad story ever told.
Yeah. Actually, Brendan,
guy.
You want to see the saddest thing is, and I've seen it too many times when a couple, they get married, and of course, one of the most popular wedding gifts is a bicycle built for two, and then 5 years later they're going through a divorce, and you see the guy out in the front yard with the sawing in half that bicycle built for two. It's a sad, sad moment.
Well, and it's also a test. It's much like what King Solomon and the baby. We'll cut this baby in two. It's a test. Whoever was willing to let the bicycle be cut, the other person gets the bicycle.
Right.
Now.
I don't know why you got to bring baby cutting up on a Sunday puzzle.
It's a biblical tale, Greg. It's fine. It's a known biblical tale. Are you unfamiliar with that story?
Yeah, I'm unfamiliar with a lot of the Bible stuff, and it's hurt me. It's hurt me as a puzzle solver.
Oh, you're telling me. I mean, we had a couple days ago. I don't hate to move backwards, but we had the book after Joel, and that was Amos. I didn't know Joel or Amos were a book.
But I got it. I got Amos. Yeah.
Yeah. What's next? Kevin, the book of Kevin. Amos gets a book.
I think it's Amos, not Amos.
Yeah, famous Amos.
Yeah, it's not famous Amos cookies. Yeah.
Well, it's hard to say when you're dealing with the Bible, but
it is hard to say.
75 down was the last eaten part of the loaf often. That's heel.
Yep.
We went to the moon over 50 years ago, Greg. We carry powerful computers in our pockets every single day, and no one has figured out how to bake heelless bread. Is there no way that's possible? You can't somehow put something up against the sides that make it so no crust forms on the end? What's that about?
The thing is, like with a good homemade, baked bread, you want the heel. The crust is.
That's true. Sure. Or like a baguette. Of course, you want the heel. Yeah. But you buy a loaf
bread,
of
and I'll tell you, if I bake you some bread, you're going to want that heel. Both of them. That's
what's you'd be surprised, listeners, because just hearing him on the podcast, you'd say, this is a gutless man who won't ask out the woman of his dreams, who goes 4 for 7. This is a man with nothing to do but make fun of this poor young comedian who he partners with. But
middle age.
I will say. But I will say, Greg
probably
is
should be farther along in his age.
Greg is actually a very good baker, a fantastic baker. Actually, I've sampled and cook. By the way, I've sampled many. I've sampled many of Greg's baking and cooking products, and he's really good. So. Take that to heart before you start, all over the message boards and the internet going, Wednesday Warren's, a loser because he couldn't ask out Leonardo DiCaprio's girlfriend, before. So the guy can really make some cookies.
I guess I should say thanks. 63 across. They're written in chess notation. That's moves. Whenever I hear the word moves, I always am reminded, I wrestled when I was in high school and college, and we would go to these big tournaments in high school. I was with junior nationals, and, you're in a weigh-in, and these are like the best kids from all over the country, and I was up there by myself, and you're in a line to get weighed in, and, you're just kind of nervous. You're like, I wonder who's the best here, and, and then there's always like guys that know each other, and they're talking, and I remember one time there's this Jersey guy talking. And it was just typical Jersey guy. He's talking to his buddy. He goes, the key to the wrestlebacks are the consolation rounds. Yeah, the key to the wrestlebacks, you got to hit your moves. The key to the wrestlebacks, you got to hit your moves. And the other guy was like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you got to hit your moves. I think that's pretty much the key to any match.
Yeah, it's strange that he thought there was a different key to the wrestleback.
I don't know, but he said it so like he was so convinced by it. For some reason, that stuck in my head for 35 years. You got to hit your moves. That's the key.
Yeah, in the preliminary rounds, don't worry so much about your moves.
Don't worry about hitting your moves. But in the wrestlebacks,
you don't gotta hit your moves.
You gotta hit your moves.
Yeah. That's funny, man. I think that's gonna do it for One Down. Thank you guys, as always, for listening. We really appreciate it. We want you all to stay safe out there. If you're protesting, whatever you're doing, and stay safe in general, given the coronavirus, all that. We really appreciate the feedback we've got. You can follow the podcast at One Down Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. You can check out the Facebook page. As always, we would very much appreciate it if you took the minute or less it takes to subscribe, rate, review the podcast wherever you get it. We've had some phenomenal reviews. We really appreciate it. And you can check out, as live comedy is sort of starting to come back, you can check out gregwarrencomedy.com. And you can follow me at AirBud, EYREBUD, on Twitter and Instagram. I think that covers everything, right, Greg?
Yeah, I would like to take this opportunity to say, off guard.
One Down is hosted by Greg Warren and Brendan Eyre. Produced and edited by John Baldwin. Our theme song is written and performed by Henry Phillips. Executive producers Matt Kleinschmidt and Robert Kelly for the Laugh Button Podcast.
One Down, the comedy crossword